Hello, my favorite English language learners. It's your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy. And as some of you have noticed, I haven't been posting as many videos as usual lately, and that is because I have had a very busy summer teaching at the world-renowned UC Berkeley. And something I noticed my students really needed help with was giving presentations in English. And so I figured if they needed help, you might too. So in this video, I'm going to teach you 20 super useful and common phrases that native English speakers use when giving presentations in English. So let's get started. When giving a presentation in English, you are always going to begin with some kind of greeting. For example, hi everyone, my name is Amy, and today I'm going to talk about, and then whatever topic you choose. And something I notice with many students is they have difficulty with the word everyone. 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 When you pronounce that V sound, I really want to see those teeth over your bottom lip. Everyone. And since that is your greeting, this is a first impression you are making on your audience, so it's really important to take your time and try to pronounce that as clearly as possible. Hi everyone, my name is Amy, and today I'm going to talk about my topic. Notice in this sentence I have some words in bold. These are words I really want you to enunciate and stress, or make longer and louder. Another option for you is to say, hi everybody, my name is Amy, and the topic of my presentation today is the topic. And one greeting I heard my student use over the summer was, hello boys and girls. And I really don't recommend you use this greeting because boys and girls in this context refers to children. And usually you are giving a presentation to people who are much older. So if you say hello boys and girls, you are actually calling your audience of adults children. So use these other two alternatives instead. Now, before you get into the content of your presentation, we oftentimes provide an overview or an agenda to your audience so they know what to expect. And you can present this by using this phrase. Here's an overview of what we will discuss today. Now, I know that word overview has two V's, which can be so hard for English language learners. So if you want to avoid that word, you can also use the synonym agenda. Here's an agenda of what we will discuss today. Then you will use some sequencing language to lay out the order of your content. So you can say something like, first, I'll cover point 1. Then we'll discuss point 2. And lastly, point 3. Notice in this phrase, I changed between the pronouns I'll and we'll. And that is something we naturally do to add variety to our statements. When you are giving a presentation, yes, you are the one talking, so I can use the pronoun I, but we also like to include our audience in our presentation, so you can also use the collective pronoun we, even though your audience isn't really the one giving the presentation. So in further examples, don't get confused if I've chosen the pronoun I or we. We can really use them interchangeably in this context to include your audience. Another phrase to present your agenda can be, I'll start with point 1, followed by point 2, and then we'll look at point 3. There are many variations to the sequencing or numbering of your agenda, so really just choose what you feel most confident saying. Now, sometimes at the end of a presentation, you might want to take audience questions. And if that is a planned part of your presentation, then at the end of your sequence, you can say something like this. At the end, we will have time for questions. At the end, we will have time for questions. Again, notice that stress in my voice on the words end and questions. Or another option, we will wrap up with questions at the end. If you don't know, the phrasal verb to wrap up means to conclude or to finish something. And this is a great phrasal verb that sounds very natural and native English speakers use all the time. Okay, so once you have given your audience the agenda and what to expect, you need to transition from that into topic number 1. And you can do this in a few ways. For example, using the phrase, so let's get started. So let's get started. And you will notice in my videos that's kind of my default, or the one that I use most often. You can also say, okay, let's begin. Or you can say, all right, let's dive in. Let's dive in. Again, this is another fun, more colloquial way of saying let's begin. So this one might be new for you. So try it out next time you're giving a presentation. Then, once you've discussed your first topic, you will need to continue transitioning between ideas. And here are some great phrases for doing that. You can say, next, let's take a look at point 2. Notice I stressed the word next and paused there to signal that we are switching topics. Next, let's look at point 2. Or, now let's move on to point 2. Now let's move on to point 2. Or another option, this leads me to my next point, point 2. This leads me to my next point, point 2. Now, it's really important that you use these transition phrases so that you can signal to your audience that you are moving on. Using these phrases really helps your audience follow along, and so I encourage you to try to implement these in your next presentation. Now, whenever you're giving a presentation, it should not just be a bunch of text written on your slides. Instead, you should really be using a lot of images, visuals, graphs, and charts to show your audience what you're saying rather than just telling them. And so we need to know how to talk about images when giving a presentation. For example, as you can see in this photo, chart, or graph, and then explain what is in the picture. Or you can use the word here. Here is a photo, chart, or graph showing, and then tell your audience what that picture shows. Or another option, here you can see a photo, chart, or graph of, and then your explanation. Or you can include your audience using the word let's. Let's look at this photo, chart, or graph to understand better. And then once you have finished your presentation, you need a few phrases to end it smoothly. For example, so to wrap up or to finish, plus an ending thought or summary of what you've already said. So to wrap up, giving presentations in English is very important. And if you decide to take questions, now is your time to say, now we will take some time for questions. And you might also hear, now we will take some time for a Q&A, a Q&A, a Q&A. This is a short acronym that stands for question and answer. So you can use either of those options. And then once your Q&A is over, you can say, thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And from me, thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, just to let you know, I am creating another video similar to this one, focusing on the pronunciation of these phrases and giving you time to repeat after me. So if you're preparing for a presentation in English, that video will be very helpful for you to build your confidence before you get on that stage. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click that notification bell so you're the first to see when that video comes out. I'll see you next time. Bye!